What's the biggest of the many challenges that Nissan faces?
Well, you touched on part of it. You said they're focusing on cost cuts. That's an imperative for them to survive, to reduce their costs. And at the same time, they have to come out with new models, which becomes very difficult if at the same time you're talking about increasing your job cut target to 14,000, you're shutting down assembly lines, basically contracting as a company. And at the same time, you need to be coming out with models that are competitive with the new models of your rivals. That's especially important in the electric car market, which had been a strength for Nissan, but under the current conditions where they're contracting as a company, they're pressuring their suppliers to cut costs. It's very, very difficult to come out with hit models in that circumstance. So that's the biggest of many challenges that they face, is just getting back on track with some hit models. That also ties into what their strategy has been in the past, which has been to focus on volume. That was Carlos Ghosn's big strategy, was to take a lower margin than his rivals. Maybe in some cases they're getting about half the margin that Toyota gets on their vehicles, but they've made up for it by increasing production. Now that they're cutting back, that makes that strategy impossible.
What does that mean for Nissan's alliance with Renault and Mitsubishi then?
Well, right up front, Nissan said yesterday that they're foregoing a dividend. So that's $1.2 billion that comes right out of Renault's net income. So that's a big hit to them. And this has always been a question for Renault, outside of the dividend, why are we allied with Nissan? That's something that the company's management has always been in support of the alliance, but the shareholders may not be if the dividend isn't forthcoming. In the crisis the company now faces, there's less and less rationale for maintaining this relationship. That could mean that if Renault starts to reduce its stake or sell off its stake, that would be a very bad sign for the company's shares, given the size of the stake that they own. Mitsubishi, as we know, a day earlier announced that it was going to stop producing the Pajero, one of its biggest models over the years. That's its key SUV. So that's a company that's also just not hitting on all cylinders and part of the Nissan Alliance. So it seems to be weakening at every leg, and the management has yet to come up with a compelling plan for how to restore the vibrancy of the alliance and how to get it back on track to compete with the giants like Toyota and Volkswagen.
Dave, when it comes to different markets around the world, the idea for many businesses has been that China has been the first in and out of the pandemic, and greater exposure in that market could help them. So where are there any bright spots for Nissan at this point?
Well, geographically, China had been a bright spot for Nissan, but the market there had actually been in a contraction even before the pandemic hit. But as you mentioned, there's some expectation that it would be coming out a little quicker. So that's certainly a potential for them. Their brand name is still pretty strong within the Chinese market. It's a popular. Some of their cars are very popular there in Nissan. That's still a big market for them. So that's one possibility. Another strength for the company, actually, not geographically, but their balance sheet isn't terrible. They're actually in a net cash position as of the end of last fiscal year. So they have some strength, financially, and they have some ability therefore to plan for a year ahead and possibly come up with another revitalization plan. And I'm pretty sure that China would be a significant part of that, because that's been a big part of their mix in the past.